Shabbat Shalom, almost Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, been a while since I've been at these keys, huh? But everything has its time, everything has its intention. So almost Shabbat Shalom. What a week behind us and what a week ahead of us. And the question is, can we change anything? Well, of course we can. Yes. So hello everyone. Thank you for being here, for listening. Let me put my other eyes on. There we go. So can we change anything? Do we have the power actually? When we talk about energies, we talk about power of the words. When I was a kid, there was all the time if something wouldn't happen or something was about to happen and it wouldn't happen, or it would happen at some points, but the main sentence was Haikar Kavana. What's important is the intention. And it's kind of like, almost like a disclaimer. Well, I tried, what's important is the intention of my action, what I want to do. And so this portion of this week, BeHukotai, in my laws or my commandments, God is saying, you can have anything. You can have prosperity. You can have good experience, right? If, and as it sounds like, on the first level, on the pshat, there are 4 levels for the Torah. There's the simple, the story, the hint, the deep study, and the mystery. So on the story level, it says, if you listen to my commands, then you'll be good. Then everything will be beautiful for you and everything will be nice. So the question is asked, well, what if I don't? So you mean that I don't have a choice? It's like, oh, if I don't do this, damn if I do, damn if I don't. So it's like, do I have really a say here? And what constitutes following? What constitutes doing what is good for me? Right? So, but it's deeper than that. It's like, it's a cause and effect, basically. It's a cause and effect. So there is the famous dream of Jacob, and it talks about it in the Kabbalah and the Zohar. There's the famous dream of Jacob where he put his head down to sleep, and he saw a ladder at the place where he's sleeping, and angels are going up and down, up and down. And it starts by the word going up. Now, angels, where are angels usually? Usually we refer to angels, they're up. So we would want to hear angels are coming down and then going up. But what is happening actually, there is the upper world, there is the external higher level of our soul, of our existence, of the spirit world, and then there is this physical body, this physical existence. And our physical existence is like the shoe to, in the Zohar, we are considered to be a shoe for our soul. So it is like a shoe to a body. I can walk 3 miles, 5 miles. Well, depends, right? If I have good shoes. What is one of the important things that we are worried about children is what shoes they have. Oh, we have to give them good shoes. The most important are the shoes. The most important are the shoes, because the shoes will keep me going and keep me running or walking, but keep my feet in good posture, and I won't have a platform and all this kind of stuff. So our existence is like a shoe to our soul, which is at a higher level. But we are here with our physical eyes. So what is happening is that the shoe, this experience, is what's dictating what's above. It dictates what happens above. It's the two triangles of the Star of David, the symbol of Israel, right? We have two triangles where one is pointing up and one is pointing down, right? Male and female, right? But for this purpose, it's what's happening here affects what happens on a global, on an intergalactic, an intersoul level. What we do here affects what happens on higher vibrations, and that is transmitted to the world, to the people around us, to the people that are not necessarily around us. This is the famous analogy of a death of a butterfly in Japan can affect a tsunami here, because there's like a chain of events that are part of this, part of the creation. So because we don't have so-called spiritual eyes, we have the physical eyes, so we see what is here. We see what is here, and we say, okay, well, this is what is here. But what we see here is different than what is seen in a different plane. So, for example, in the story of Esther in Purim, in the story of Esther and Mordechai, there is an understanding from the sages that every time in the scroll of Esther, it talks about King Ahasuerus, it talks only about King Ahasuerus. But when he talks only about the king, without the word Ahasuerus, he's talking about King Almighty, God or Creator. And then it says that once Mordechai went into the king, he came out of the king's place with glorified, with garments and blue color, this kind of blue color. So on the story level, right, the four levels of the Torah, the Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod, the story level, the hint, the deep study, and the mystery. On the story level, the people who have their physical eyes, they see Mordechai. They see Mordechai coming out with a garment of gold, a golden crown on his head. But with the Röntgen eyes, and what we see is not what God sees. When we go there, when we are passing on, and what's important is not whether I was a minister of that or this of that. It's like what did we do here? Like how were we? How are we to one another? How are we to one another? Right? What deeds do we do? Because every deed that we do or don't do, or do something that is maybe negative, then it affects the world above. So if somebody gave it tzedakah, if anybody knows what a tzedakah is the tithing, the giving to those who need it more than I do, or need it more than you do, or it creates a ripple effect of kindness. It creates a ripple effect of muffling things that were about to happen. Okay, so here, picture that. In those in the fairs, when we go to the fairs, many times there are these mirror rooms, right? Mirror rooms. Like when you go into this room, you have tons of mirrors. You don't know where the exit is. What you see, you see thousands versions of yourself standing. Every time you move your hand, that version moves yours. So it's like 1,000 yourselves moving your hand up and down. And this is how we are. It's not 1,000 of ourselves, but it's a different version of ourselves in different level of spirituality, in different level of our soul, that everything that we do affects the upper world. Now, think about the vision of how God maybe looking at us, maybe like a Röntgen. When we go to a Röntgen, or how do you say Röntgen, a CT or MRI, or you can go with clothes. The person you go into the machine, you're clothed. You have clothes on you. But when you see, what you get from it is the basic essence of you, the bones, the tissues, the kidney, the organs, all these kind of things that are there. This is like the eyes of God. It's like when we come, when we are connected, in whether it's an astral traveling, or whether it's a past life regression, when we are going up to a different level of our consciousness, we also notice that time has no essence. We don't notice the time. So we notice really what's in the essence of our soul, what is in the essence of our being. How are we? How were we with the other person? So the actions that we do here affect what happens in other worlds, which in turn affects us back. So if you listen to what is really saying here, I mean, everything is a higher vibration. Is give it tzedakah, is be truthful, follow your dreams. We're talking here about things here in the day to day, where we are in a place where it is hard to see through the veil, through these physical eyes. It is hard to see through these physical eyes. So what we do affects us back. So what do we do? How are we between one another? How are we when it comes to doing something good? Or when we see all this stuff, all these wars and all these negativity. But just know that the rise of the negativity appears so, but that means that there is also a rise of positivity. They grow on the same level. It's the same level. And the more that there is good things happening, the more that there are good things happening, the more the attempt of the Yetzer Hara, of the evil inclination, to come and to sabotage. And the sabotage can happen on different levels. We may say, oh, it's not spiritual, it's just my old patterns, that I'm choosing my old patterns to do the same thing that I've done before, and that's what are old patterns? Old patterns are the exact same things that are reflected through our physicality. Same things, I mean, spiritual decisions, spiritual affect that stemmed out of ego, not doing good by the other person, not telling the truth, all these kind of things that are coming back. Because why? When I broadcast something, that means that I inhabit it. If I am broadcasting positivity, I inhabit it. I cannot broadcast, you cannot sell something if you're not it. Because if you're not it, and you try and sell it, it sounds cacophonia. Because nobody will believe that. Nobody would believe that you're really saying that. So when we're doing good deeds, giving a sandwich to somebody or buying a sandwich to somebody outside of Starbucks or any of those things, that creates an energy, that creates a vibration. That's the triangle that sends back up. That's why in Jacob's ladder, we see first, and angels are going up and then they're coming down. Meaning, what is happening here is affecting the upper worlds. What we're doing here, and so I heard many priests, rabbis that were in different atrocities that were made to humans, and this is because of your actions, this is your fault. I remember when 9/11 happened, I heard many people were just like coming out and saying, oh, this is your fault, this is your actions, this is your actions, this is your action, it's your fault. First, I think that when somebody is mourning, you don't go and tell them, I told you so. No, because the person is mourning. Doesn't matter what the reason, what the cause is. First, let the morning pass. And if there are things to be said, you say them in hints. For example, in Judaism, when there is a funeral or after the funeral, you give, you eat, just like in another holidays, but you eat lentils to remind that life is a cycle. It's a circle, it goes back, but you don't say anything. So back to that 9/11 thing. They said, "Oh, it's your fault. It's your fault." But if we think about it, without emotions, just think about what we do here affects above, and what we do here that affects above comes back, is reflected back. No emotions, just truth. Just because truth has no emotions. Truth is emotionless. We bring the emotions, we bring the spices, and we bring the suffering, and we bring all the added spices. Just from that, if what we do here affects what happens upstairs and then comes back to us, then how far from reality that might be. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm not saying, oh, he's right or that's right. It's just something to ponder upon and to see what do we do here that comes back. And in fact, this is how we start with manifestation. When we want to manifest something, we need to start with imagination. Imagination is the beginning of manifestation. And we're imagining that we are there already. Why do we do that? We do that because I have to hit this every so often just to feel that. We do that because we want to inhabit that energy field, that field between me and the other people, between a relational field. This is an energy field. I want to inhabit that so I can create a ripple effect of the same energy and bring it back to me. And there are different tools to do that. Sound, of course, is one thing. Sound is the ultimate medicine for body and soul. And for you who don't know it yet, that's what I do. I work with sound and frequencies and the power of the words. So sound, colors of shirts, like you wear yellow, very happy. You wear blue, very calm. You wear red. After a while, you start getting agitated. It's really notice what you're wearing. Colors and sounds. I mean, they're really kind of going together. So there are many, of course, meditation, different stones, different crystals that are tools for us here to elevate our spiritual presence. I just remember that I started something and I didn't finish it, but when I was talking about Esther, Queen Mordechai in Purim, when Mordechai came out of the king of Achashverosh, everybody saw garments. They saw the gold, they saw the cloak, they saw the crown, but it doesn't say King Achashverosh, it says, and Mordechai came out of the king place. Why? Because the king, God, was in that place. But what did we have underneath? What God was so? It talks about that he had a tefillin. On his head, he had the tefillin of the head. Then on top of it, the crown. So the people would see the garments. But he talks about also the blue color that he had, which at that time, the talit, they were making them with blue strings. So what does God see? God see that he had his armor. He had his essence. The tefillin and the tefillin on the head, on the crown, that's the golden crown. So this is how we affect our lives, because we affect what's happening elsewhere. We affect what happens above us, to the side of us. We automatically refer to something that is above us, but it could be to the side of us. Parallel realities. We're living in a world that is, we more understand it now these years than we before, is so complex and yet so simple in its complexity. As a complex matter, it's all makes sense. As a complex matter, it makes sense. As a simple matter, it's very complex. But as a complex matter, it makes sense. So what we do here affects what happens up there. So what are you doing? What are you doing to create positive shifts? Doesn't matter the work, doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we can't take anything with us except for scent. Our smell, our scent, this is the only thing that goes with us. This is the scent of our soul. I discovered that, and I had a download on that, and it's really, if you think about that, this is the essence of our soul, is our scent. Everybody has a scent. And so that is the only thing that goes with us. So what are we doing? What are you doing to cultivate this positivity, to cultivate unity, to cultivate connection? Because let's bring it down to the basic bottom line. Our power is in our unity. Our power is when we're united. Our power, our collective power, and our one power. In the Kabbalah, we are all one. Every person is an entire world. So what do we do as a collective, as an individual? But it starts first with the individual, because just like what we do here affects other worlds, what we do with ourselves affects the society around us, affects the events around us. So what do we do here that affects the world and brings back to us? So I came back to Keys not long ago, and it's so have a wonderful Shabbat, a weekend, a Shabbat of creation, a Shabbat of creating good, passing it along. One of the things that is with my every morning prayer meditation is to help at least one person today, just one. So if each one of us will just do it once, and I know many of you do, those who I know at least. So, Shabbat Shalom, and see you soon.